There are moments when your mind feels out of control. You try to focus, to move forward, to stay calm, but something keeps pulling you back. The same thoughts, over and over again. What if this goes wrong? What if I'm not enough? What if I never figure this out? And no matter how much you try to ignore them, they stay there, draining your energy, your clarity, your peace. But here's the truth most people never hear. That voice in your head is not you. It's not your reality. It's just a pattern built over time, repeated so often that it started to feel real. So tonight we're going to change that. If you're here to recover your mind, to take control back from anxiety and stress, and finally feel at ease again, stay with me. Because through Stoic lessons that have guided strong minds for centuries, you're going to learn how to slow that noise down, regain clarity, and return to something simple but powerful. Control over your own thoughts. And before we continue, I want to ask you something. When your mind spirals, what's the one thought that always comes back? First lesson. Stop turning your life into a scoreboard. There's a habit most people don't even realize they have. Throughout the day, your mind is quietly keeping score. Who's doing better? Who's ahead? Who seems more confident, more successful, more in control? And without noticing it, you start measuring your own life against those invisible standards. At first, it feels like motivation, like something that pushes you forward. But over time, it becomes something else entirely. Because the moment your mind turns life into a comparison, it also turns it into pressure. And pressure doesn't stay outside. It follows you into everything, into your work, your decisions, even your thoughts. You stop acting freely and start acting to prove something, to catch up, to not fall behind. The problem is that this game has no finish line. No matter how much you achieve, there will always be someone doing more, moving faster, or appearing better. And when your mind is wired to compare, enough becomes something you never quite reach. That's where anxiety begins to grow, because your brain interprets comparison as a signal. You are behind. You need to do more. You need to fix something, so it stays alert. It replays situations, overthinks decisions, questions your progress, not because something is actually wrong, but because it has been trained to look for what's missing. And a mind that is constantly scanning for what's missing can never feel at peace. This is exactly why the Stoics rejected comparison at its core. Marcus Aurelius said it clearly: waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. In other words, stop looking outward for reference. Your standard is not other people. Your standard is your own actions. Because the moment you stop measuring yourself against others, something shifts. The noise begins to drop, not all at once, but enough for you to notice it. So instead of asking, "Am I doing better than them?" ask something far more powerful. Am I acting in alignment with who I want to be? That question brings control back to you. Maybe today you handled a situation with more calm than usual. Maybe you followed through on something you would normally avoid. Maybe you simply showed up when it would have been easier not to. That matters. That is progress. Then take it one step further. Redirect your attention away from what's missing and toward what's within your control, your effort, your decisions, your discipline. That's where clarity lives. Because when your mind is focused on what you can control, it stops chasing everything it can't. And here's where everything changes. The moment you step out of comparison, your mind no longer needs to compete. It no longer needs to prove anything. And when that pressure disappears, so does a large part of the anxiety you've been carrying. Your thoughts slow down. Your focus sharpens. You start making decisions with clarity instead of urgency. Because the truth is simple. The more you measure your life against others, the more you lose control over your own mind. But when you stop measuring, you start recovering it. Lesson 2. Change what you believe about yourself. How many times have you caught yourself saying things like, "That's just how I am"? You repeat it with such certainty that it feels like an absolute truth. "I'm not good at public speaking. I suck at numbers. I've never been charismatic." The strange thing is, those phrases weren't born with you. They're not written into your DNA. They were built at some point, Maybe after a hurtful comment, a failure that hit harder than you expected, or an unfair comparison. And ever since, they've stayed there like outdated software running in your mind, blocking every attempt to move forward. It's like trying to install a new program on an old computer. No matter how many times you try, the system keeps crashing. Not because the program is broken, but because the operating system was never updated. Your beliefs work the same way. You try to start new projects, make decisions, open up to people, but your mind is still running on labels from years ago. And of course, it crashes. Not because you can't, but because you're still obeying old commands. Take Oprah Winfrey. She grew up being told she came from an impossible place, that her destiny was limited by her background. She could have accepted those beliefs as a life sentence. Many people would have. But she chose to change what she believed about herself. In interviews, she says it clearly. What you believe about yourself is what you end up living. And thanks to that inner shift, she built an empire nobody saw coming. What would have happened if she'd stuck with, "I don't fit in"? That one phrase could have shut down her entire story. Chances are something similar has happened to you. Maybe a teacher once told you weren't good at English, and you took it as an absolute truth. Years later, you're traveling, you know enough vocabulary, but you freeze up. It's not real inability. It's that teacher's voice still running in your mind like a virus. That's the difference between a fact and a belief. The fact is gone, but the belief still rules your present. Stoicism speaks to this power of inner belief too. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." That's the key. It's not what others say, or even what your past failures try to shout at you. It's the story you choose to tell yourself afterward that shapes who you are. If after a mistake you say, "I knew I wasn't good enough," you reinforce the chain. But if you say, "I learned something that'll make me better," you begin turning insecurity into confidence. Here's the thing. Those phrases you repeat to yourself aren't just passing thoughts. They're like roots. Some support you, others tangle you up. So why keep feeding rotten roots that block your growth? If you want to transform insecurity into clarity, you have to pull those roots out and plant new ones. Because yes, beliefs can change. They're not lifelong chains. Let me ask you, what "that's just how I am" phrase keeps playing in your head? Maybe it's "I'm shy," and every time you say it, it justifies your silence. Maybe it's "I'm impatient," and that label gives you an excuse to quit fast. Or "I'm disorganized," and it becomes your way out of trying to improve. Those phrases are like scripts in a play you keep acting out over and over. If you change the script, the story changes too. So, how do you shift all this without falling into magic formula territory? Start by playing with the words you use. That voice that insists, "I can't." Change it to "not yet." It might sound like a small tweak, but it changes everything. It's no longer a wall. It's a half-open door. And trust me, your brain believes it sooner than you think. Also, write down the labels you've been repeating for years as if they were truths. "I'm bad with numbers." "I freeze up in front of people." "I'm a mess in relationships." Write them down, look at them for a second, and then tear them up like old receipts. And while you do, say, "Thanks for your service, but I don't work with you anymore." Humor, too, can be a hammer against insecurity. Here's something else. Chances are you've got a friend who's great at reminding you of what you do well, even when you downplay it. Message them. Ask them what your last win was. You'll be surprised by how clearly others can see what you erase in seconds. It's like having a foggy mirror, and suddenly someone wipes it clean. And there's your real reflection. Much clearer than you imagined. Remember this. Beliefs are like roots. If the ones you've got don't support you but trap you, pull them out without hesitation. Plant new ones that grow upward, that give you direction, that bring your clarity back. And if you ever doubt yourself, picture Marcus Aurelius ripping out a page from his journal with a useless self-criticism and writing over it, "Today, I choose to be better." Because in the end, if you want to eliminate insecurity from your mind, you have to start by changing what you believe about yourself. Lesson 3. Turn fear into your greatest ally. Fear has a strange way of showing up. It comes without warning, settles in your chest, and whispers in your ear that you're not ready, that it's safer to stay still, that the risk is too big. And it speaks with such conviction that you end up believing it. Because fear doesn't show up as a suggestion, it shows up as an absolute truth. But here's the catch. Fear lies more than it tells the truth. Think about the last time you felt afraid right before doing something important. Don't just skim over it. Bring it back exactly as it was. Picture yourself walking into an interview that could change your life. You're heading down the hallway and, even though you're trying to keep it together on the outside, inside your chest is pounding. Your hands are sweaty. Your breath gets a little short. And then that inner voice shows up. The one that always arrives right on time. It starts saying very specific things. They're going to see you're not as good as you seem. There's probably someone more qualified. You're going to blank out. Better keep quiet, you might mess up. And the strange part is that voice doesn't shout. It whispers. And it whispers so confidently, it almost feels like it's protecting you. You walk toward the room and every step is an internal argument. You trying to stay calm, and your mind reminding you of everything that could go wrong. It flashes quick images. You stuttering, you forgetting an answer, you letting someone down, you looking ridiculous. And even though nothing has happened yet, you already see yourself failing. Then you walk into the room, you see the people who are going to evaluate you, and the fear rises a bit more. Your mind gets creative. It throws thoughts at you that you'd never say out loud. But in that moment, they feel like absolute truth. You don't belong here. You're not good enough. Hope this ends quickly. And while you try to answer questions, your mind is still running in the background like a control panel lit up with red alarms, warning you about imaginary threats. It's like carrying around a narrator who only talks about risks, never about possibilities. But let me ask you something. How often has what you feared actually happened? And how often did things turn out way better than you expected? Fear has a serious tendency to exaggerate. It's like a smoke detector that goes off because of a candle. It's doing its job by alerting you, but most of the time, it's a false alarm. The problem isn't feeling fear. It's believing that what fear says is true. Once you understand that, fear stops being a guard blocking your path and starts becoming an ally pointing you toward your next level. Marcus Aurelius wrote something that seems simple, but hides a deep truth. Most of the time, it's not the situation that upsets you. It's your opinion about the situation. When you're afraid, you're not scared of the event itself. You're scared of what you imagine might happen. And almost always, you imagine the worst. Your mind creates a horror movie where you're the lead character who fails, gets humiliated, or loses everything. But that movie isn't real. It's fiction made up by your brain. The Stoics understood that fear isn't the enemy. The problem isn't feeling fear, it's letting fear make your decisions. Because when you hand over the steering wheel, when you let fear be the one calling the shots, your life starts to shrink. You begin avoiding situations, turning down opportunities, building walls around your comfort zone until that zone becomes a cage. And Seneca, he had a practice that might sound strange today but makes perfect sense. He imagined the worst things that could happen to him, not to torture himself, but to prepare, to strip fear of its power to surprise him. Because once you've thought through the worst and you realize you could survive it, fear loses its bite. It's like seeing the behind the scenes of a horror movie and realizing the monsters are just actors in costumes. So now it's time to change your relationship with fear, forever. Every time you feel fear, you're actually getting valuable information. Fear is telling you, this matters. You don't feel afraid of things that don't matter. You fear the things that could change your life, the things that carry weight, the ones that push you to grow. So instead of running from fear, start seeing it as a signal. Let me tell you about someone I know who wanted to change careers. He knew his current job wasn't fulfilling him, but the fear of starting over kept him stuck. Every time he thought about making the leap, his mind pulled out a full catalog of disasters: running out of money, not finding anything better, regretting the decision forever. And years went by, until one day he asked himself a different question. What's worse, trying and failing, or never trying and living with the doubt? That question changed everything, because he realized the real fear wasn't failure, it was regret. And that was a fear worth listening to, so he decided to act despite the fear. It didn't go away, but it stopped being the one in charge, and today, he's in a completely different place, doing what he loves. Fear didn't block him, it showed him the way. Science backs this up strongly. Neuroscience studies show that when you face what scares you, your brain literally rewires itself. The amygdala, the part of your brain that triggers the fear response, calms down with repeated exposure. Every time you act in spite of fear, you're retraining your mind to recognize there's no real danger. It's like teaching a kid that thunder can't hurt them. Here's a practical tip you can use today. Next time you feel fear, don't ignore it or push it down. Ask it, what are you trying to tell me? Is this a real danger or just discomfort? Because there's a huge difference. A real danger puts your life or physical safety at risk. Discomfort is everything else. And most of the time, what we call fear is just discomfort in disguise. Epictetus taught something brilliant. You don't have to control circumstances, only your response to them. Fear is an internal circumstance. It shows up, that's true. But what you do with it is entirely up to you. You can let it paralyze you, or you can take a step forward. That choice is yours, and every time you choose to move forward, you become a little stronger, my friend. Think of fear like a muscle. If you never use it, if you never face it, it gets weaker. But not in a good way. What weakens is your ability to handle it. On the other hand, if you face it little by little, if you expose yourself gradually to what scares you, that muscle grows. And there comes a moment when things that once terrified you no longer have the same grip on you. This isn't about being reckless or jumping in without a safety net. It's about not letting fear make your decisions. It's about knowing the difference between prudence and paralysis. Prudence protects you from unnecessary risks. Paralysis keeps you from living. And controlling your negative thoughts with these Stoic lessons means, in large part, learning to recognize when fear is your protector and when it's your jailer. Remember this, fear doesn't disappear with success, it disappears with action. You can wait to feel safe before you move, but that feeling never comes if you don't take the first step. It's the other way around. You take the step and then the safety follows. Because you realize you could do it, that you were capable, that fear was exaggerating. So the next time fear tells you you can't, that it's too risky, that you'd better stay right where you are, remember this. Fear is not a wall, it's a door. And on the other side is the version of you you've always wanted to become. All you have to do is push. Lesson 4. Let go of what no longer makes sense. Think about that drawer we all have at home, full of cables you don't even recognize anymore. Old HDMI cords, chargers for phones that don't exist, adapters that feel like relics from another century. And yet they're still there, taking up space. Why do we keep them? Because maybe one day they might come in handy. Meanwhile, all they really do is clutter up a drawer that could be empty, ready for something new. Your mind works the same way when you cling to things that have already expired. Old ideas, relationships that no longer bring value, fears that no longer make sense. And just like those cables, you keep them just in case. The result is the same, zero space for what really matters. The interesting part is that this habit of not letting go is closely tied to insecurity. Because even if something old no longer works, even if it makes no sense, it gives you the illusion of safety. It's like telling yourself, here I'm safe, here I'm not exposed to the unknown. But that's not safety, it's a brake. It's like being tied to a moving train and trying to stop it by grabbing the rails with your hands. The more you resist, the more it hurts. Zeno of Citium illustrated this with his metaphor of a dog tied to a cart. If it walks along, it flows. If it resists, it gets hurt. The cart is life, and you decide whether to walk with it or get dragged. The same thing happened in the story of Microsoft. When Satya Nadella became CEO, The company was clinging to its identity as desktop software. It was who they'd always been. It felt safe. But the world had already moved to the cloud. AI was advancing fast, and holding on to that mindset was like staring at the cable drawer, hoping those wires would come back in style. Nadella understood that not letting go meant dying as a giant of the past. So he shifted, and by releasing what no longer made sense, he found clarity and opened up a new future for the company. Seneca spoke about this too, in his letters to Lucilius. Everything flows. Nothing remains the same. What he meant was that resisting change only adds pain. Life is constant transition. And if you accept that, if you understand that what's necessary today may be obsolete tomorrow, you stop living in tension and start finding peace. Now picture this, you're in a job you can't stand. And for 5 years, you've been saying the same thing. Once the crisis passes, I'll quit. The crisis passed. 2 of them, even 3. And you're still there. The attachment isn't to the paycheck, it's to that false sense of safety. That voice saying, if I let go, I'll have nothing. But what's really happening is that you're losing pieces of your life every day you stay in the same place. And here's the key question. What mental drawer are you filling with things that no longer serve you? Maybe it's a relationship that drains your energy, a belief that keeps you stuck in fear, a project that died long ago but you're too scared to let go. There are simple ways to train this skill of letting go. The first is very literal. Open a real drawer in your home. Take out 3 objects you don't use anymore and throw them away. As you do it, ask yourself, what belief or relationship deserves the same fate? That physical gesture creates space in your mind too. Next, write down everything you've lost in the last 3 years. People, places, life phases. Then write what each loss brought you in return. You'll start to see that even the painful things, over time, gave you a new way to grow. And when you see that in writing, your perspective shifts. It's no longer just absence, it's transformation. You can also repeat a quote from Seneca every time fear of change creeps in. Even while I speak of change, I have already changed. Because it's true. While you hesitate, you're no longer the same person you were a minute ago. Life moves forward. It doesn't wait for you to make up your mind. My friend, insecurity grows when you hold on to the old like it's a life raft. But in reality, it's an anchor that won't let you move forward. Change always brings vertigo. The new always brings doubt. But only by letting go can you make space for clarity and confidence to show up. If it's hard, picture Marcus Aurelius canceling his Netflix subscription and saying, everything that changes your life gets canceled before the next billing cycle. And smile, because humor helps you release too. So, let go. You'll realize that the thing you were so afraid to lose was exactly what was stopping you from eliminating insecurity from your mind. Clarity doesn't come from piling more on. It comes from releasing. What could you let go of today so you can start walking lighter tomorrow? Lesson 5. Start building your own path. Imagine you're walking along the shoreline. You see footprints in the sand and decide to follow them. They seem safe, as if someone already tested the ground for you. You walk and walk, but after a while the tide washes those footprints away. You stop, look back, and realize there's nothing behind you. That's when it hits you. You never left your own mark. You were just stepping into someone else's. Life works the same way. When you choose to live according to what others expect, you end up on a path that doesn't feel like yours. And that's the perfect recipe for insecurity. Think about it. How many of your decisions have been just to avoid disappointing someone? You studied a degree you didn't care about because it sounded prestigious. You accepted a job that didn't motivate you because it seemed stable. You said yes to commitments you didn't want just to avoid judgment. And then one day you look in the mirror and something feels off. You're living a life that isn't yours. It's a Frankenstein of other people's expectations. No wonder insecurity takes over. How are you supposed to trust yourself when you've never had the courage to truly listen to yourself? J.K. Rowling's story reflects this perfectly. Before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, Her manuscript was rejected over 10 times. She could have shoved it in a drawer, convinced that the world was right and she had nothing to offer. But she didn't. She chose to build her own path, even in silence, even without validation. She kept going, trusting that her story mattered, even if no one else could see it yet. That choice to walk with purpose was what turned her insecurity into confidence. Even a Roman emperor asked himself the same question: is it worth carrying a weight you didn't choose? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it's bearable, then bear it. Stop complaining." It might sound harsh, but it's freeing. Because what matters isn't whether the weight is heavy or light, it's whether it's yours. Carrying a burden you chose, even if it's tough, makes you stronger. Dragging around one that was handed to you, even if it's light, wears you down. Living with purpose means accepting the effort, yes, but with the certainty that you're building something that's truly yours. You probably know a story like this. Someone studies law because it's a respectable career, but deep down, they dream of making music. They live in that disconnect for years, surrounded by textbooks and exams that mean nothing to them, while their guitar gathers dust in the corner. The insecurity grows because even though they're getting good grades, they feel like they're living halfway. Until one day, they record their first song and realize something powerful. It was never about lack of talent. It was about never making a decision of their own. That one step changes everything, because for the first time, they're standing on ground they chose. So my friend, if you want to walk toward real confidence, you have to start building your own path. Not tomorrow. Not when others approve. Now try this. Write down your personal goal, even if no one understands it or claps for it. Maybe you want to learn photography, even though everyone around you says there's no money in that. Or maybe you dream of running a marathon, even though you've never been sporty. That piece of paper isn't for convincing the world. It's to remind you that your desire deserves space. It's like planting the first seed of a tree. You might not see it yet, but it's already growing roots. Then, do a simple but powerful exercise. Think of 3 things you do only for external approval. Maybe you stay in a WhatsApp group that adds nothing to your life, just so people won't be offended if you leave. Maybe you say yes to every weekend plan even when you're exhausted, just so no one thinks you're boring. Maybe you dress a certain way because someone told you years ago that it suits you, even though it no longer feels like you. Write them down and let go of at least one this week. It'll feel awkward at first, but then comes the relief, like taking off a backpack you didn't even realize you were carrying. And add this. Create a simple daily ritual to remind yourself that your path is built one step at a time. It could be a phrase you write on a post-it and stick on your bathroom mirror. Something like, "Today, I live for me." It could be spending 5 quiet minutes on a personal project before opening your inbox. Or even something symbolic, like wearing a bracelet or ring that reminds you of your commitment to yourself. It doesn't need to be big. What matters is that every morning you see something that reminds you. You're not living someone else's life. You're finally building your own. 6th lesson. Separate your identity from your mistakes. Let me ask you something. How many times have you turned a mistake into a statement about who you are? Really think about it. You show up late to a meeting and your mind doesn't just say, "I was late." It says, "I'm irresponsible." You forget something important and instead of thinking, "I forgot this," you tell yourself, "I'm a mess." You make a mistake at work and your mind doesn't log, "I made an error," it records, "I'm useless." See the trap? You go from describing an action to defining your identity. And that's one of the most destructive ways negative thoughts take control of your life. Because when you turn a mistake into a permanent label, when you turn a moment into a life sentence, you rob yourself of the chance to change, to grow, to improve. The Stoics understood something essential. You are not what happens to you. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are not that one bad day you had. You are the person who chooses how to respond to all of it. And that distinction may sound small, but it's the difference between a free life and a life chained to your past. Picture this. You're in a meeting, and you pitch an idea you believe in. You present it with confidence, hoping it'll be well received. But instead of applause, there's silence. Someone points out a flaw you didn't consider. Another person says something similar was already tried and didn't work. And in that moment, something cracks inside you. It's not just that your idea got rejected. It's that your mind immediately jumps to, I'm an idiot. Why did I even speak? Everyone thinks I have nothing valuable to offer. In a matter of seconds, what was just a failed pitch turns into a verdict about your worth. And that verdict is false, but it hurts like it's true. Here's the problem. When you fuse your identity with your actions, every mistake becomes an existential threat. Because it's not just that you failed at something, it's that you are the failure. And under that twisted logic, there's no room to learn. Only room to punish yourself. No space to grow, only space to prove, again and again, that you're not enough. Seneca wrote something that should be engraved on every door. To err is human. To persist in error is foolish. The mistake doesn't define you. What defines you is what you do next. If you learn, if you adjust, if you keep going, then the mistake becomes a teacher. But if you turn it into a chain, if you use it as proof that you're a failure, then yes, it can destroy you. And the truth is, we all mess up. Not long ago, I heard a young musician talk about how his failures started to consume him. He'd been practicing for months. He knew every note by heart. But during the performance, he slipped, just for a few seconds. But to him, it felt like a disaster. When it was over, instead of feeling proud for making it that far, all he could think about was that moment. I ruined everything, he kept repeating. I don't have what it takes, I should give this up. A teacher who had been watching pulled him aside and said something that shifted his perspective. The mistake lasted 3 seconds. The rest was 20 minutes of beautiful music. Why are you giving more weight to the 3 seconds than to the 20 minutes? That question hit him. He realized it wasn't the mistake that was crushing him. It was the story he'd built around the mistake. Marcus Aurelius dealt with this all the time. As emperor, every decision he made carried massive consequences, and not all of them were the right ones. But instead of defining himself by his errors, he used them as material for growth. He would write reminders to himself like, when you rise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. He didn't stay stuck in what he did wrong. He focused on what he could do right, today. That's the mindset you need to adopt if you want to control your negative thoughts with these Stoic teachings. Separate your identity from your mistakes. Understand that a failure is an event, not a life sentence. That making a mistake doesn't make you a mistake, it makes you someone who's learning, who's growing, who's alive. Think about this. When you were a child learning to walk, you fell 1,000 times. Did you ever think, I'm just not meant to walk? No, because you didn't have that kind of inner dialogue yet. You just got up and tried again. But somewhere along the way, someone or something taught you that mistakes are unacceptable. That messing up means there's something wrong with you. And since then, you've carried that belief. My friend, it's time to let go of that lie, because that's what it is, a lie. Mistakes don't define you. Falling down doesn't make you weak. What defines you is whether or not you get back up, and what you learn in the process. Modern psychology backs this up. Carol Dweck, a Stanford researcher, spent decades studying how people deal with failure. She discovered 2 types of mindset, fixed and growth. The fixed mindset says, I failed because I'm a failure. The growth mindset says, I failed because I'm still learning. And guess which one leads to better outcomes? The second one, always. Because when you separate your identity from your mistakes, you stop fearing failure. And once you stop fearing it, you start trying new things, you take more risks, you experiment. And through that process, you grow. But if every mistake confirms that you're worthless, you'll freeze. You'll stop trying. You'll hide in your comfort zone. And your life will get smaller and smaller. Next time you make a mistake, instead of beating yourself up, ask yourself these 3 questions. What can I learn from this? What would I do differently next time? Does this mistake stop me from trying again? Those questions change everything. They pull you out of the self-punishment loop and into solution mode. The Stoics practiced something called amor fati, love of fate. It doesn't mean they loved everything that happened to them. It means they accepted what had already happened and used it as raw material to build something better. When something went wrong, they didn't sit around complaining. They asked, how can I use this to my advantage? Think of someone like Thomas Edison. He failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb, but he never said, I'm a failure. He said, I found 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb. That shift made all the difference, because each failure wasn't proof of incompetence. It was valuable information bringing him closer to the answer. Now, separating your identity from your mistakes doesn't mean ignoring the consequences. It's not about being irresponsible or excusing everything with, I'm just learning. It's about being honest about what happened, taking responsibility, and then deciding who you want to be from that point on. Because staying stuck in guilt helps no one, least of all you. Epictetus put it with brutal clarity. Some things are within your control, others are not. Your past is not under your control. It already happened. You can't change it, but your response to that past, that's 100% up to you. And that response shapes your future. You can stay stuck in the mistake, or you can extract the lesson and move forward. The choice is yours. Let me tell you something you may have never heard before. You are so much more than your worst moments. You are more than that time you failed, more than that relationship that didn't work out, more than that project that didn't go as planned. You are the sum of everything you've lived, but also of everything you choose to do with what you've lived. And here's the most important part. You don't need to be perfect to be valuable. You don't need to be mistake-free to deserve respect, love, and opportunity. Mistakes are part of the human process. They're not detours from the path. They are the path. Because every mistake teaches you something that success never could. So next time your mind tries to turn a mistake into a definition of who you are, stop it. Remind yourself that facts don't define identity. Failing at something doesn't make you a failure. Having a bad day doesn't make you a bad person. Making mistakes doesn't make you less human. It makes you exactly that, human. Controlling your negative thoughts with these lessons means understanding that your identity isn't built from your mistakes. It's built from your decisions. And every day you get to decide who you are, not based on what you did yesterday, but on what you choose to do today. That's the freedom the Stoics stood for, and that's the freedom you deserve. Lesson 7. Know yourself better than you appear to. Let me ask you something honestly. Do you really know yourself? And I don't mean those silly personality tests that tell you whether you're more of a margarita or 4-cheese pizza. I mean truly knowing yourself. Knowing what drives you, what scares you, and which decisions you're making just because other people expect you to. Because insecurity doesn't come out of nowhere. It shows up when you spend more time looking outward than inward. Think about it. You spend weekends going to plans you don't even enjoy, just because others do. You stay out late at dinners, nodding and smiling, even though deep down you wish you were home reading in peace. You laugh at jokes that don't make you laugh, sign up for projects that don't speak to you, and even choose your clothes based more on what others might think than on what makes you feel good. And here's the catch. The moment you finally think about doing something just for yourself, insecurity shows up. You think about starting that long-postponed project, and your mind floods with doubts. What if I'm not good at this? What if they criticize me? What if I fail? You consider saying no to dinner plans to stay in and rest, and guilt creeps in. They're going to think I'm boring. It's like your energy flows freely when it's for others, but gets blocked the moment it's about listening to yourself. That's the real drain. Living in a costume designed for others, while your own voice stays buried. And that disconnection from yourself is the perfect breeding ground for insecurity. Because how are you supposed to feel confident if you never even give yourself the chance to find out who you really are? History reminds us of this again and again. Socrates said, "Know thyself." And yeah, I know, it sounds like a cliche you'd see on a t-shirt, but it goes much deeper. For him, the real enemy wasn't ignorance, but the illusion of knowing everything when you actually know nothing. Self-deception was the root of insecurity, because it led you to make choices without truly understanding who you are, what you want, or what you're avoiding. Seneca also said it beautifully in his letters to Lucilius. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. And do you know what that means for you? That when you don't really know yourself, your mind creates fears, believes them, and multiplies them. But when you learn to observe yourself, you begin to see which fears are real and which are just ghosts made by your mind. That distinction is what takes you from doubt to confidence. So how do you start getting to know yourself beyond the surface? You don't have to go meditate in the Himalayas or blow money on a trendy retreat. It's simpler and also harder. Take a few minutes a day to write about how you reacted to a specific situation and what emotion was underneath. Because often what you call anger isn't anger, it's fear in disguise. What you call indifference might actually be pain you'd rather not face. As psychologist Brené Brown says, truly knowing yourself isn't just about accepting the nice parts, it's also about facing the uncomfortable ones. What you hide, what's hard to admit. Because real confidence doesn't come from pretending you've got it all together. It comes from seeing yourself fully, with both light and shadow, and moving forward anyway. That emotional courage is what turns insecurity into strength. Here's another idea. Break out of autopilot. Try this experiment for one day. Question 3 small decisions. Ask yourself, do I really want this coffee, or is it just habit? Do I really want to go to this event, or am I just afraid of disappointing someone? Tiny things, but in those moments, you'll see how often you're acting for others instead of for yourself. And here's a practice that might feel uncomfortable, but it works. Stand in front of the mirror and ask yourself, what am I tolerating that's actually hurting me? Don't aim for pretty answers. Aim for truth. Write it down. You might be surprised to realize that what's been feeding your insecurity isn't what's missing from your life, but what you've been putting up with for far too long. When you finally start to know yourself for real, your life stops being a theater of masks and becomes a clear, honest path. And that's where the shift happens. What used to be insecurity turns into confidence because you no longer need anyone's approval to walk with purpose. So ask yourself today, do you want to keep playing a role in a story written by someone else? Or start writing your own script? Because only by knowing yourself better than you appear to others can you truly eliminate insecurity from your mind and live with the clarity you've been searching for. Lesson 8. Be mindful of who surrounds you. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like your insecurity didn't even come from you, but from the people around you? Because often it's not your own voice saying, you can't. It's borrowed voices, repeated so many times that they start to sound like your own. Surrounding yourself with people who doubt everything, criticize everything, and compare everything is like trying to run with a backpack full of stones that don't even belong to you. Imagine this. You have a simple dream, nothing crazy. You want to learn French because you dream of climbing the Eiffel Tower and ordering a coffee in French. The idea excites you. You picture yourself traveling, watching movies without subtitles, feeling proud of learning something new. One day you share this with your group of friends expecting a, that's awesome, go for it. But instead you hear, ugh, that's a waste of time. Why bother? Another one laughs. You'll give up in 2 weeks. You couldn't even stick with English. And just like that, your excitement starts to shrink. You begin to wonder if they're right. Insecurity creeps in. That night you glance at the language app you just downloaded, feel a knot in your stomach, and close it. A week later, you don't even open it again. Months go by and you forget why you wanted it in the first place. It's not that you couldn't do it, you just adopted someone else's insecurity. And that's the danger. We don't even realize how much our environment shapes what we believe is possible. Marcus Aurelius put it powerfully in Meditations. The life of a man is what his thoughts make of it. And those thoughts? They're often built with what you constantly hear around you. Spend enough time around people who doubt everything, and soon your thoughts start sounding just like theirs. Now picture what Epictetus would do if someone told him, Better not try, it'll probably go wrong. He'd probably raise an eyebrow, smile, and say, "That's your opinion, not reality." And he'd keep walking like nothing happened. That's the attitude of someone who knows that what matters isn't what others think. It's what you choose to do with what's in your control. You've probably heard of the Rule of 5 made famous by Jim Rohn. It says you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It might sound like a stretch, but think about it for a second. If you hang out every day with someone who complains nonstop, how long before you start doing the same? And if you're around someone who always looks for solutions, don't you start seeing more options too? Social psychology has proven this again and again. Your mood, your habits, even your worldview are contagious. Steve Jobs knew this well. He said that part of his success was surrounding himself with people who pushed him to think bigger, not those who tried to keep him comfortable. He understood that having a purpose isn't enough. You need voices around you that remind you what you're capable of, not voices that clip your wings before you even try. That's the difference between staying small and daring to grow. So what can you do to make sure your environment stops draining your confidence? Start with a simple audit. Write down the 5 people you talk to the most each day, and ask yourself how you feel after spending time with them. Lighter or heavier? Motivated or smaller? Seeing it on paper opens your eyes. Next, find someone who inspires you, and spend more time around them. You don't need to know them in real life. Listen to their podcast, read their books, watch their videos. Having that voice regularly in your day is like fresh air. It shifts the tone of your internal dialogue. At the same time, reduce how much time you spend with people who only criticize and never do anything. You don't have to cut ties completely. Just set boundaries. If you know someone always responds with negativity, stop sharing your most important plans with them. That's not selfishness, it's self-respect. Your confidence needs a space where it can grow without being crushed at every turn. My friend, you already know this. Your environment is the soil where your roots grow. So ask yourself, are you surrounded by voices that shut you down, or voices that lift you up? Because if you want to eliminate insecurity from your mind, it's not enough to change how you think. You also need to protect who speaks into your life. If you look closely, everything we've explored so far has one thing in common. Each step brings back more clarity and strength. You start letting go of what weighs you down, you set boundaries, you begin to hear your own voice again, and little by little, insecurity starts losing space in your life. But there's something more, because none of this will matter. Not the mindset shifts, not the supportive voices, if you don't take one final step, daring to shape a path that's truly yours. And that's where we're heading now. 9th lesson, protect yourself from emotional contagion. Has this ever happened to you? You walk into a room in a good mood, energized, ready to take on the day. But there's someone there, complaining about everything. The traffic, the weather, the government, their job, people in general. At first you try to keep your energy up, maybe even try to cheer them up. But after 20 minutes of that endless negativity, something shifts inside you. You're no longer as upbeat. Your energy has dropped. Your mood has dimmed. It's like someone drained your battery and you didn't even notice. That's emotional contagion, and it's real as a virus. The difference is, with a physical virus, you take precautions. You wash your hands, avoid sick people, take care of your immune system. But with emotional negativity, most people take no precautions at all. They expose themselves without a filter, absorb everything that comes their way, and then wonder why they feel so awful. Marcus Aurelius understood this perfectly. He wrote that we must be like the rock that waves crash against. The waves come, they make noise, they cause foam, but the rock remains still. Not because it's insensitive, but because it's solid. Your mind has to be that rock. You can stand in the middle of someone else's emotional storm without being swept away by it. And let's be honest, you're probably getting infected with negativity every day without even realizing it. Think about that content creator you follow online. At first, they seemed honest, realistic, even woke. But over time, their content started to carry a bitter aftertaste. Videos saying everything's going wrong, posts about how selfish people are, stories claiming the world is doomed, that nothing gets better, that everyone's out to get you. And without meaning to, you start absorbing it. You finish watching one of their videos and catch yourself thinking you can't trust anyone. You scroll past a post and feel your mood darken, like someone just dimmed the lights. It's not dramatic, but it's constant. You start to feel more distrustful, more irritable, more drained, even if nothing is actually going wrong in your life. Nothing's happened. You're just breathing someone else's emotional air. That's emotional contagion through media. Negative content that doesn't just inform, it shifts your inner state without you noticing. That's why you get to the end of the day feeling tense, and you don't even know why. Often it was just 5 minutes of someone who sees the world in gray. Or think about that coworker who always sees the downside of everything. You propose an idea. They tell you why it won't work. You share a win. They downplay it. You're excited about a project. They list all the obstacles, and the worst part, most of the time they don't even mean harm. That's just their lens on the world. But if you spend 8 hours a day around them, that lens starts becoming yours too. Epictetus had a simple but powerful rule. Protect your mind the way you'd protect your body. You wouldn't let someone physically hit you every day, right? So why do you allow yourself to be emotionally hit by constant negativity? This isn't about being cold or selfish. It's about recognizing that your mental health is your responsibility. And let me tell you, this won't be easy. Here comes the hard part. You can't always physically distance yourself from negative sources. Sometimes it's your boss, a relative, someone you have to live with. So what do? Just absorb all that toxicity? No. You build emotional barriers. And this doesn't mean shutting down or being cold. It means learning to be present without being infected. Think about doctors. They work with sick people all day. If they absorbed every illness their patients carried, they wouldn't last a week. But they wear protection, gloves, masks, hygiene protocols. You need the same thing for emotional negativity, invisible but effective. One of those barriers is emotional distance. You can listen to someone vent without buying into their story. You can be there without adopting their worldview. It's the difference between empathy and sympathy. Empathy lets you understand what someone feels without feeling it yourself. Sympathy makes you feel the same thing they do. That's the trap. Seneca had brilliant advice about this. Choose carefully who you spend time with, because you become the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That's not just a pretty metaphor, it's a psychological fact. Neuroscience confirms it. Our brains have mirror neurons that cause us to unconsciously imitate the behaviors and emotions of those around us. So, if you spend most of your time with negative people, your brain starts copying that. You start seeing problems that aren't there. You start complaining more, you start slipping into a victim mindset. And the scariest part is, it happens so gradually, you don't even notice until you're already in deep. Try this exercise. Make a list of the people you spend the most time with. It can be in person, over the phone, through messages, or even on social media. Now, next to each name, ask yourself honestly, how do I feel after I interact with this person? More energized or more drained? More clear-headed or more confused? More hopeful or more pessimistic? You'll discover something eye-opening. Some people fill you up. Some people empty you. The ones who fill you up are like fresh water fountains. Every interaction leaves you refreshed. The ones who drain you are emotional black holes, absorbing your energy without giving anything back. And no, not everyone going through a hard time is a black hole. The difference is whether they're trying to climb out or have gotten comfortable living in the dark. My friend, controlling your negative thoughts with these Stoic lessons includes controlling which external influences you allow into your life. Because no matter how hard you work on your inner dialogue, if you're constantly exposed to external negativity, it's like trying to fill a cup while someone else is poking holes in the bottom. Think about something Tim Ferriss once shared. The author and entrepreneur known for analyzing habits and performance spent years consuming news, and informative content daily, convinced that staying informed was essential to his work. But one day something hit him. Every time he finished watching certain programs or listening to certain podcasts, he felt more anxious, more irritable, and much more pessimistic. Even though nothing was actually wrong in his own life, he put it clearly. It wasn't information, it was emotional drainage. I wasn't learning anything new. I was just letting other people decide how I felt. So he ran an experiment. 1 week with no news, no fear-driven content, no alarmist podcasts. And the results were immediate: more calm, more mental clarity, and most importantly, a sense of control over his inner state. That's when he realized emotional contagion from media is real, very real, and more dangerous than personal contagion, because it comes disguised as culture, as being informed, as you need to know this. The Stoics would say exactly the same. Don't just question what you hear, question how it leaves you feeling. If you feel worse, you're not being informed, you're being poisoned. Marcus Aurelius had a question he asked constantly. Does this make me better or worse? He applied it to everything: his thoughts, his actions, the people around him. And you can do the same. Every interaction, every conversation, every piece of content, ask yourself, is this making me better or worse? Protecting yourself from emotional contagion doesn't mean never listening to other people's problems. It's not about being insensitive or selfish. It's about knowing the difference between genuinely helping someone and becoming their emotional dumping ground. There's a big difference between someone sharing their struggles to find clarity and someone unloading negativity with no intention of changing. The Stoics were incredibly compassionate, but also incredibly selective. They knew they couldn't help everyone, and trying to do so would only weaken them. So they made choices: where to put their energy, who to share their time with, which battles were worth fighting. That selectiveness didn't make them less human. It made them more effective. To control your negative thoughts, it's okay to distance yourself from toxic people, even if they're family or lifelong friends. Your loyalty to yourself has to be stronger than your loyalty to relationships that drain you. You don't have to make a scene. No confrontations, no speeches. Just create distance gradually. Fewer calls, fewer meetups, less emotional availability. And here's the freeing part. When you create space by stepping back from negativity, you automatically make room for something better. It's like cleaning out a closet full of clothes you never wear. At first it hurts to let go, but when you're done, you finally have space for something new, for better relationships, better conversations, better influences. Controlling your negative thoughts isn't just inner work, it's also outer protection. Because no matter how strong your mind is, if you keep exposing it to toxicity, some of it will get in. It's like living in a house with the windows open during a sandstorm. No matter how often you clean, the dust will still blow in. So close the windows. Choose who you talk to. Choose what you consume. Choose where your attention goes. And when someone tries to pull you into their spiral of negativity, remember Epictetus's words. It's not things that disturb us, it's our interpretation of them. You can listen without adopting, be present without absorbing, be compassionate without becoming a sponge. Your mind is your most valuable territory, and like any territory, it needs boundaries. Not to isolate you from the world, but to protect what you're building inside. So be selective, be aware, and above all, be firm in your commitment not to let someone else's negativity control your internal state. That's the real freedom the Stoics were after, and that's the freedom you deserve to have. Lesson 10. Remember, you're not eternal. Imagine your life as one giant calendar on the wall. Each week is a little square, and every Sunday, without much thought, someone rips one off and throws it in the trash. One less. Just like that. Simple, cold. Now look closer. In the current week you've written down, tidy up the drawer cables and look at new sneakers, but tucked away in a corner is what really matters. Call my dad, or send that proposal that could change everything. Insecurity makes you put off the essential, and fill your days with tasks that don't scare you. And the ironic thing is, while you do that, the calendar keeps thinning out. My friend, here's the trap. You think you have unlimited time, like there will always be another chance. But no, every passing day is one of a kind and doesn't come back. When you let insecurity make the decisions for you, you're not just losing an action, you're losing a piece of your life. Marcus Aurelius wrote it plainly. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. Think about what that means. If today were your last day, would you still keep putting off that conversation, that project, that reconciliation? Suddenly, everything snaps into place. The essential moves to the front, and the rest crumbles. And it's not about obsessing over the end. It's about training your perspective. Epictetus said it clearly in his Enchiridion. Get used to seeing things as temporary, as if each moment were borrowed, not from a morbid place, but from the clarity that brings. Because when you remember you're not eternal, your view shifts. What felt urgent turns into noise, and what truly matters lights up in front of you. That voice of insecurity that says, "Not yet," loses power when you understand that time won't always wait for you. Picture this. You've been thinking for months about recreating an old photo with your mom in the same place. Each week you put it off because now's not the right time, because work, because it's cold, because you're tired. When you finally go for it, she smiles, but at the end of the day, she says something that hits you hard. "I thought you'd forgotten." That moment weighs more than any fear of how the photo might turn out. That's when you get it. What hurts isn't messing up, it's the time lost. And that's what really gets to us when we realize we're not eternal. It's not the missed obligations that sting. What haunts us is not having pursued the life we truly wanted. Postponing your dreams and desires hurts more than breaking a rule. No, what torments us isn't sending an email with a typo. It's never having written that novel, never taken that trip, never dared to say what you felt. So, my friend, ask yourself now, if you weren't given one more week, what would you do with this one? Not as a philosophical exercise, but as a practical filter. You can start with something simple I call the memento trio. Each morning, pick 3 things. One action that moves your project forward, one call or message to someone who truly matters, and one small act of self-care you won't postpone. Maybe 20 minutes of movement or cooking yourself something decent. That's enough to give your day direction and stop living on autopilot. Here's another practical exercise. Print out a 52-week calendar and mark only the next 10. Imagine that's your real playing field. In each of those weeks, write down one brave action that can't be postponed. It could be sending a demo, asking for feedback, making peace with someone, or taking the first step in a dream. Whatever it is, put it in ink. Seeing it limited to 10 weeks makes urgency stop being an idea. It becomes something you can touch. Think about how your mindset shifts when you remember you're not eternal. What once looked like a massive problem shrinks. What you thought was urgent fades into background noise, and what you'd been pushing aside becomes your true priority. Turning insecurity into clarity and confidence doesn't mean the fear disappears. It means you've learned to put everything in its place. And that order only comes when you accept that time is limited. So next time insecurity tries to hold you back, picture that calendar getting thinner week by week. Ask yourself, do I want to waste this square on doubt or on decisions? Because in the end, the only ridiculous thing isn't making mistakes. It's letting anxiety run your mind. Now drop something in the comments. Write, "This week, I begin boldly," and tell me what action you're no longer going to delay. Because remembering you're not eternal isn't depressing. It's the most powerful reminder that your life is in your hands right now. Lesson 11. Master pressure before it masters you. Some days everything feels like it's speeding up. The world moves faster than you can process. Notifications don't stop. To-do lists pile up. Expectations grow. And at some point, without even noticing, you cross an invisible line. On the other side of that line, you're no longer managing tasks. You're just surviving the chaos. Your heart races. Your thoughts get blurry. and that voice in your head kicks in with its usual chant. You're not gonna make it. This is too much. You're going to fail. That's pressure, and it has a very specific way of feeding your negative thoughts, because under extreme pressure, your brain shifts into survival mode. And in that mode, everything feels like a threat. A simple task becomes a looming disaster. A neutral comment suddenly sounds like harsh criticism. A small mistake blows up into a full-blown catastrophe. Marcus Aurelius lived under constant pressure. He was the emperor of Rome, the leader of armies, responsible for millions of lives. Every decision he made carried massive consequences. One mistake could cost entire cities. And yet, in the middle of all that chaos, he found a way to keep his mind clear. How? Not by eliminating pressure, but by changing his relationship with it. He wrote something that sounds simple but is revolutionary when you actually apply it. Confine your attention to the present moment. Don't worry about the 20 things you have to do tomorrow. Don't obsess over the mistakes from yesterday. Focus only on what's right in front of you, right now. The one thing you can do in this exact moment. When you do that, pressure drops dramatically. Because pressure doesn't come from what you have to do. It comes from trying to mentally do everything at once. Picture this. A regular morning in your life. You wake up and before your feet hit the floor, you're already mentally juggling everything you need to get done. Make breakfast, tidy the house, finish a report, swing by the bank, reply to that message, pick something up from the shop, handle a task you've been avoiding, cook lunch, and try to fit in a workout. 10 different things, each one screaming to be first. And you haven't even put your shoes on yet. What crushes you isn't the 10 tasks themselves. It's the feeling that they're all shouting at once. It's your mind trying to solve everything simultaneously, like sorting a cluttered desk without separating a single paper. That's impossible. You freeze before you start. You feel exhausted before you move. You feel like a failure, even though you haven't failed yet. That's real pressure. Epictetus put it differently. Divide your difficulties. When something feels overwhelming, it's usually because you're looking at it as one giant, unbreakable block. But everything can be broken down. That massive project, break it into phases. That phase, break it into tasks. That task, break it into steps. Suddenly, what seemed impossible becomes a series of small, manageable actions. You know Tim Ferriss? He uses a technique called define your day with 3. Each morning, before doing anything else, choose the 3 most important tasks of the day. Not 10, not 20, just 3. If you could only do 3 things today, what would they be? Once you've picked them, ignore everything else until those 3 are done. When you apply this to your own day, something shifts. Suddenly, your day isn't a chaotic storm of endless tasks. It's a list with purpose. If your 3 priorities are progress on that report, tidy the house a bit, and cook something decent, you're no longer being pulled in 10 directions. You're deciding what matters today and what doesn't. Inside tidy the house, you're not cleaning every room. You fold a few shirts, throw in a load of laundry, pick up what's on the couch. 3 small actions that fulfill the goal. For the report, you don't write the whole thing. You finish a key paragraph or review a section. For lunch, you cook something simple. That's it. And that, doing the basics of each priority, is what reduces pressure. Because now you're not looking at the day as a 10-headed monster. You're looking at it as 3 clear blocks, each broken down into things you can do without drowning. And here's the key. Each small action you complete, no matter how basic, registers in your brain as progress. You hit the next task with a sense of control, not chaos. That's how pressure starts to release. Not by cutting tasks, but by organizing them. Your brain can handle a lot of work. What it can't handle is too much disorganization. But don't get it twisted. Managing pressure isn't just about task management. It's also about energy management. The Stoics knew this, long before neuroscience confirmed it. Your mental capacity is limited. It's a resource that gets depleted with use. That's why Marcus Aurelius had daily rituals for recovery. Solitude, reflective writing, time in nature. You need the same. You can't be in go mode 24/7. You need recovery spaces. And here's the trap. Most people think rest is a waste of time. So they work non-stop, push themselves constantly, and then wonder why they feel anxious, exhausted, and buried in negative thoughts. So how do you build in recovery time? It doesn't have to be long. 5 minutes per hour to stand, stretch, or breathe deeply. 15 minutes at lunch to sit quietly and do nothing. 30 minutes in the evening to walk without your phone. These aren't luxuries, they're maintenance, like charging your phone. You can try to use it at 0%, but it'll shut down eventually. Your mind works the same. Here's something you may not have heard. Pressure isn't the problem. The problem is how you respond to it. Some people thrive under pressure. Elite athletes, surgeons, soldiers, they operate in high-stress environments. The difference? They've trained their minds to perform under pressure. So can you. Navy SEALs use a technique called box breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Hold again for 4. Repeat. Sounds simple, but it's powerful. Within minutes, your nervous system calms, your heart rate drops, and your clarity returns. The Stoics didn't call it that, but they practiced something similar. Intentional pauses to regain control, because they knew this. You can't control what happens outside, but you can control your breath. And when you control your breath, you control your internal state. Here's another major source of pressure: perfectionism. That need to get everything right, to make no mistakes, to meet impossible expectations. And every time something falls short, your mind pounces with negative thoughts. You're a failure. You're not good enough. You disappointed everyone. But Marcus Aurelius had a different view. Don't wish things to happen as you want. Wish for them to happen as they do, and your life will be peaceful. He wasn't promoting laziness. He was showing that resisting reality is the true source of suffering. When you accept that things won't always go to plan, you stop wasting energy on frustration and use that energy to adapt. That doesn't mean you stop trying. It means you try without clinging to a specific result. You give your best and accept whatever comes. That kind of mental flexibility is what lets you stay strong under pressure. Controlling your negative thoughts through Stoic wisdom means learning to operate under pressure without letting it flood your mind with destructive narratives. That takes practice. It's not something you master overnight. It's a skill you develop over time. Start small. Next time you feel overwhelmed, pause, just for a second. Breathe. Ask yourself, what's the one thing I can do right now? Not all the things, just one. Then give it your full focus. When it's done, move to the next. That simple habit will change your relationship with pressure. Also, check your expectations. Are you trying to do the impossible? Are you trying to meet standards that aren't even yours? Are you measuring your worth by how much you produce? These are uncomfortable questions, but necessary, because often the pressure you feel is self-imposed. It's the result of expectations you created or absorbed from others. Seneca had a powerful question. Are you living your life, or the life others expect from you? If you're living to meet everyone's expectations, pressure never ends, because someone will always want more from you. The only way out is to define your priorities and have the courage to say no to what doesn't fit. Mastering pressure also means learning to delegate. Many times, pressure exists because you're trying to do everything yourself. Out of pride, out of fear, out of the belief that no one can do it as well as you. But that mindset guarantees a life of overwhelm. The best leaders don't do everything. They know what they must do and what others can handle. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire. He couldn't do it alone. He had to trust generals, advisors, administrators. That trust allowed him to focus on decisions that truly mattered. You can do the same at your scale. Identify what only you can do and what someone else can do. Then have the courage to let go. Sure, they may not do it exactly like you, but if they can do it 80% as well, it's enough, because it frees your time and energy for what truly counts. And finally, remember this. Pressure will always be there. It's part of living a life that matters. If you feel no pressure at all, you're probably not doing anything meaningful. The challenge isn't to eliminate it. It's to learn how to dance with it, to move under its weight without letting it crush you. And once you master that dance, once you learn to function under pressure without letting it flood your mind with negativity, you become unstoppable. And sometimes when you start organizing your mind like this, one thing at a time without letting all the noise sweep you away, you notice something interesting. Many days, what's really blocking you isn't your tasks. It's that internal voice pulling you toward chaos without you realizing it. If you feel like that's happening to you too, check out the video I linked right here. It'll help you understand why your mind jumps so much and how to take the reins back. Lesson 12. Watch what you repeat to yourself every day. Picture this. You're in a courtroom. In front of you, a stern-faced judge, gavel in hand, eyes like steel. There are no lawyers, no one to defend you. Every mistake you made this week is played back like evidence. You were late on Tuesday. You messed up that meeting. You said something awkward in front of your friends. The judge shows no mercy. He slams the gavel and declares, "Guilty, guilty, guilty." And you, sitting there, just bow your head and accept the verdict. But here's the unsettling part. That judge isn't some stranger. It's you. That critical voice that never stops. The one that turns every stumble into a crime. That courtroom doesn't exist in real life, only in your mind. And yet, you give it so much power that you start living like you're truly guilty of everything. The good news? That trial can have a new script. You don't have to shut it down. You just need to change its role. Instead of a judge who punishes, make it a mentor who guides. Because, my friend, the problem isn't what happens outside. It's what you keep repeating inside. But don't worry, you're not alone. Even the most successful people have had to silence that judge. Tony Robbins experienced it firsthand. As a kid, he constantly repeated to himself, "I'm poor. I have nothing." That script dragged him down. But one day, he changed the words. He started saying, "I'm learning to grow." That one phrase opened the door to new decisions. He stopped waiting for things to change and started acting with a different energy. His story shifted the moment his self-talk did. And look how this connects with what the Stoics already knew. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What you think of yourself is far more important than what others think of you." If the most powerful emperor in the world believed the inner voice outweighed 1,000 opinions, how can we not take that seriously? In the end, what you choose to repeat to yourself each morning either builds clarity or fuels insecurity. You've probably been there. You're giving a presentation, your PowerPoint crashes, the slide disappears, and instead of pausing and moving on, your mind blurts out, "I'm such an idiot." That phrase doesn't describe reality. It's a hammer you hit yourself with. And the worst part? You repeat it so often that next time you walk in already nervous, already unsure, already expecting failure. That's the vicious cycle. Now imagine Epictetus in that situation. He could have said, "This failure defines me." But no, he'd smile and think, "This error doesn't define me. My response does." And that's the key. You can either learn from it or throw your laptop out the window. Spoiler, the first one is cheaper and smarter. So, my friend, next time your mind starts criticizing you, try a simple experiment. Instead of launching into your usual harsh phrase, switch it for a question. If your default thought is, "I'm a mess," ask yourself, "What can I learn from this?" It may sound small, but the effect is massive. You go from boxing yourself into a label to opening up a path forward. And here's a fun trick that works better than you'd think. Talk to yourself in the third person like you're your own coach. Instead of saying, "I've got this," say your name. "Anna's got this. Carlos knows what to do." It sounds strange, yes, but studies show it actually boosts self-confidence. It's like your brain hears it from the outside and starts to believe it more. At the core of it all is this: monitor that inner voice that never stops talking. Because if you let it repeat insecurity, that's what multiplies. But if you choose phrases of clarity and confidence, you'll start to believe them and live them. It's not magic. It's daily practice. Marcus Aurelius was right. What you think of yourself matters more than anything others might say. And if you truly want to eliminate insecurity from your mind, start by taking care of the voice you hear the most, your own. So here's your challenge. What's the phrase you repeat to yourself that you know isn't helping you? Drop it in the comments. By writing it out, you're not just getting it out of your head. You're sharing it with this community, full of people like you who are learning to choose better words day by day. Because together we can prove that yes, you can be a judge with empathy. Eliminating insecurity from your mind isn't a one-time act or a magic formula. It's a path you build every time you choose to move forward, even without all the answers. Every time you decide to trust yourself more than the doubts you inherited from others. Clarity and confidence don't just show up. They're trained in your daily actions, in the boundaries you set, in the things you finally stop postponing. And when you look back, you realize the fear never truly disappeared. It was you who learned to walk alongside it without letting it take control. If you've made it this far, drop this in the comments. Today I choose to trust myself. Reaching the end of this video is no accident. It means something in you wants to grow, and that already sets you apart from most. Subscribe and share this video with someone who needs it. That simple gesture helps us keep spreading this message of growth. On screen, you'll find a playlist to go even deeper. Click and let's keep learning together.